Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to be calling today's tutorial my super basic festival makeup look because I was originally planning on doing something really extravagant, and then I thought about it, and if it were me, I wouldn't wear a full face of makeup, or at least for my base, I wouldn't wear foundation, concealer, contour, powder, the whole 9 yards if I know I'm going to be out in the hot weather, getting sweaty, running around, especially at a festival like Coachella, which, by the way, I will be there this weekend with Too Faced and Key sunglasses. I'm so excited. I have never been. If you guys have been to Coachella or if you're going this weekend, comment down below because I need some helpful tips. And I would also love to see you guys there. If you see me, make sure you come up and say hi. But yeah, I thought I would share some really helpful tips on how to keep your base really light, airy, and breathable. And I know this makeup look looks really familiar. I think I've done really similar stuff here on my channel, but I also wanted to create something that was really earthy and simple. So I am going to be going over the color as well, but the focus is primarily on the skin. So you can also refer to this as your summer makeup routine, hot weather makeup routine, or even makeup for sunglasses, because I'm going to share some tips on how to prevent those annoying sunglass lines that we get from wearing our sunglasses all day with makeup. So if you guys are interested, keep on watching. Okay, I'm gonna start with the eyes first, and I'm gonna prime them using Shadow Insurance by Too Faced. And the reason I'm doing my eyes first is because I wanna avoid applying a lot of concealer underneath my eyes, and I feel like the shadow will cover a majority of my under eye if I do it first. And I wanna keep the coverage on the rest of the skin to a minimum as well. So that is why we're doing eyes first. We're gonna go kind of extreme with the eyeshadow, give it more of like that earthy sort of vibe. And now I'm just taking a setting powder. This is the new Next to Nothing powder by MAC in the shade Light. And I'm just gonna press it onto the lids because this eyeshadow base is very tacky and it can make it kind of hard to blend. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Plus I want the eyeshadow to be really softly diffused on the eyes. For the eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the new Violet Voss Pro eyeshadow palette in Matte About You. And I just really love the shadows in this region right here. They're very earthy in tone, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So the first color I'm going to be using is Heavenly. And it's pretty much the only color I'm going to use. I'm going to start by applying it to the outer corner and then blend it into the crease and lower lash line. And then I'm just taking whatever color is left over on the brush and dusting it onto the lid so that there is that range from light to dark, but we're still just using one eyeshadow, keeping it super, super simple. And then I'm just going in with my Smith 232 to really diffuse out the edges. Okay, so now it looks a little sharp, so I'm going to show you guys how to further diffuse this into the skin so it looks a little more natural. And I'm going to be using the face powder I'm going to use on my skin. So this is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Foundation Powder in Golden Ivory. And I'm going to use that same eyeshadow brush I was using to blend the eyeshadow. I'm going to pick up the foundation powder and use that to blend the edges. And the reason this works really easily is because this powder is obviously a skin tone, and it's the one we're going to be using on the skin. So it makes it really easy to diffuse it into our skin. And if I need to darken it up just a little more, I'm going to use Tender, which is basically the exact same color, just a little bit darker. So I'm going to use that and apply it to the outer corner. Okay, now that I've spent an hour on my basic eyeshadow, I'm going to move on to skin because that really is the focus. I want to keep everything really light and natural. So I'm going to start by prepping or priming my skin. I've already prepped it with my usual skincare routine. If you guys haven't seen my skincare routine video, just click the little eye in the corner and check it out. Still the same. So to prime my skin, I'm going to be mixing two primers because I want to make sure my skin stays hydrated but also super glowy, because I feel like when your skin has a natural glow to it, it just looks healthier and more fresh versus when it's dull and matte and has nothing on it. So I'm going to be mixing the Hangover RX Primer by Too Faced. This has a coconut water base and it really does make your skin feel instantly hydrated. And then for the glow, I'm going to be mixing the BECCA Backlight Priming Filter. So I'm going to mix these two on the back of my hand, equal parts. I'm going to mix them together on the back of my hand with a paddle brush, and then I'm going to apply it directly to the skin. And once I have it on there, I'll work it in with my hands, but for now, I'm just using the paddle brush to apply it. Another way you can create the glow is by using a liquid illuminator and mixing that into your primer. So before I was using the Shimmering Skin Perfector, but I remembered that I recently bought this and wanted to use it. Now to keep the coverage to a minimum, I'm only going to be using a concealer to cover up areas that tend to bother me, like my sunspots any redness and discoloration on the face. I'm going to be using the Mercier Secret Camouflage in SC4. I really like this color because it has a really peachy concealer and a really yellow one, so you can color correct, you can customize your personal shade depending on where you're placing it on the face. And the way I use this concealer is I pick up each color on a brush, I warm it up on my hand, and then I apply it to my skin. And then once I've applied it wherever I want it, I pat it in, normally with a beauty blender, but this time around I'm going to use a kabuki brush because I feel like it keeps the concealer more to that area versus picking up the excess product. By doing this technique, it's also really going to help when wearing sunglasses, because I'm not going to be applying any concealer to the area where the sunglasses would rest, because we all know how much it sucks when you do your makeup so well and then you put those sunglasses on and it completely gets ruined, because the moment those sunglasses come off, and you could technically do this with foundation, but I just feel like with concealer you can be a little more precise in customizing the color and the placement versus applying a foundation all over and then just avoiding the nose. It's a little less noticeable with just concealer. And for underneath the eyes, I normally wouldn't use this concealer, but because I already covered a majority of my under eyes with the eyeshadow, I'm only going to apply a pinch right there to that little indent we have underneath our eyes. But again, avoiding the areas where the glasses would rest. So I'm just taking that little kabuki brush and blending in the concealer. I like to really pat it in on top of the problem areas, so like the sunspot, and then when I get to the edges, I'll blend it out. More in like a swiping motion. And I'll also use this kabuki brush to just further clean up that eyeshadow on the edges. Okay, so this is the concealer completely blended out, and you can see it still gives a really nice natural finish. The freckles still shine through, which is what I really love about doing this technique. But because the concealer is creamy, we do have to set with powder. But instead of using a translucent, I'm going to be using my Bare Minerals Bare Pro foundation, the same one I used to clean up the eyeshadow on the edges. And I'm just going to pick it up and lightly dust it across the entire face. And I just feel like that's really the main purpose of this powder. It's not really to add coverage, even though it is a foundation powder, but we just want the lightest application of it. We don't want to pile it on. And now that I have powder on the rest of my skin, I can further blend out this eyeshadow on the edges. I want to highlight next before adding bronzer because I really want to focus on making the skin super glowy. So I'm going to be using this one from MAC, which has a peach reflect. It's technically, I mean, it's not holographic, but it has a different kind of reflect. So it has that little wow factor to it, aside from like a simple gold highlighter. This is Beaming Blush Extra Dimension Skin Finish. And if I hold it up, you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. See how when it shifts, it has that pinky peach reflect? So I'm going to use this as my highlighter, starting with the brow bone going up. You guys know how I roll. And I just switched over to a smaller brush to apply it to the bridge of the nose. I'm also going to use this as an inner corner highlight. And then I'm going to grab that same brush I was using to apply the foundation powder and just blend it out so it looks really soft. And to warm up my skin, I'm going to be using a darker shade of the Next to Nothing powder, the one from MAC that I used on the lids. This is the shade Dark Deep, and it's more towards the orange side. It's really warm, but it's sheer, and I just kind of want like a light wash of color so that I don't look super pale and flat. So I'm going to sweep this more so right here on the cheeks and then back. So I'm not necessarily contouring, I'm just adding color. It almost gives that sun-kissed effect when you've been in the sun too long and you get a little toasty. And for the nose, I'm just kind of sweeping it along the sides and kind of on the tip as well. And now the brows are starting to scare me just a bit because they're not filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and fill them in with my Dior Show Brow Styler in Universal Brown. And because I've already added the highlighter, I'm also going to set them in place with Ready Set Brow by Benefit. Now, I normally wouldn't wear lashes to an outdoor festival. I normally don't wear strip lashes aside from photos or special events, but to really make this look pop in photos and in video, I'm gonna apply some individual lashes really quick. Like always, I'm using the Ardell Individuals in the length medium. I'm just gonna pop on a few of these. And then for mascara, I'm gonna be using the Tarte Lifted Mascara. This is extremely long-wearing, waterproof, but it's like a deep brown, like an espresso color, so it looks a little more natural, but still gives your lashes that voluminous look. So I'm gonna go ahead and pile this on upper and lower lashes. And finally for the lip, I would also keep it super basic and just wear a lip balm. My current favorite is this one by Glossier. It's the coconutbalm.com. It's so good. It tastes really, really good too. But if you want to be a little less basic and actually apply a lip color, I would use a lip liner and then a gloss over because it's going to be a really comfortable wear, or even like a tinted lip balm. I'm going to be using Urban Decay's Stark Naked 24/7 lip liner. And on top of that, I'm just going to dab on a little bit of Maybelline's Shine Shot lip gloss for a glossy, hydrated look. Oh, and one last and final step that is super important. You want to make sure you set everything so it lasts you all day. I'm going to be using Urban Decay's Chill Setting Spray, and that completes the look. Before you guys head out, make sure to comment down below if you will be attending Coachella this weekend. Maybe I'll see you there. And also let me know if you found these tips helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.